Hi, I'm Gerardo. I'm here with the Mass readings for Friday, February 9th, 2018. Friday of the 5th week in Ordinary Time, from the Lectionary 333. The first reading is from 1 Kings, chapter 11. Jeroboam left Jerusalem, and the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, met him on the road. The two were alone in the area, and the prophet was wearing a new cloak. Ahijah took off his new cloak, tore it into 12 pieces, and said to Jeroboam, "Take 10 pieces for yourself. The Lord, the God of Israel, says, I will tear away the kingdom from Solomon's grasp, and will give you 10 of the tribes. 1 tribe shall remain to him, for the sake of David my servant, and of Jerusalem, the city I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel." Israel went into rebellion against David's house to this day. The word of the Lord. The responsorial psalm. Today's responsorial psalm is Psalm 81. The response is, I am the Lord your God, hear my voice. I am the Lord your God, hear my voice. There shall be no strange God among you, nor shall you worship any alien god. I, the Lord, am your God, who led you forth from the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God, hear my voice. My people heard not my voice, and Israel obeyed me not. So I gave them up to the hardness of their hearts. They walked according to their own counsels. I am the Lord your God, hear my voice. If only my people would hear me, and Israel walk in my ways. Quickly would I humble their enemies. Against their foes I would turn my hand. I am the Lord your God, hear my voice. Today's Gospel is the Gospel according to St. Mark, chapter 7, verses 31 to 37. Jesus left the district of Tyre and went by the way of Sidon to the Sea of Galilee, into the district of the Decapolis. And people brought to him a deaf man who had a speech impediment, and begged him to lay his hand on him. He took him off by himself away from the crowd. He put his finger into the man's ears, and spitting, touched his tongue. Then he looked up to heaven, and groaned and said to him, Ephphatha, that is, be opened. And immediately the man's ears were opened. His speech impediment was removed, and he spoke plainly. He ordered them not to tell anyone. But the more he ordered them not to, the more they proclaimed it. They were exceedingly astonished, and they said, He has done all things well. He makes the deaf hear, and the mute speak. The Gospel of the Lord. Here are some thoughts on today's scripture. Jesus is still in Gentile territory. He has now moved east from the Mediterranean coast to the interior on the east side of the Sea of Galilee, in the area of the Decapolis. A deaf and mute man is brought to Jesus for healing. He takes the man aside, puts his fingers in the man's ears, touches his tongue with spittle, looks up to heaven and prays, "Be opened." Immediately, the man's ears are opened, his tongue loosed, and he's able to speak plainly. As it often happens in this gospel, the people who witnessed the miracle are told not to say anything about it to anyone. But the more Jesus insisted, the more widely they published it. Their admiration was unbounded. He has done all things well, they said. He makes the deaf hear, and the mute speak. As it often happens in the Gospel, and especially in Mark, we have here much more than a miracle story, the healing of a physical ailment. We are approaching a climactic part of the Gospel, and this passage leads into it. What Jesus does to this man is something that is meant to happen to every one of his followers, including his immediate disciples. We all need to have our ears opened so that we can hear and understand in its fullness the message of Jesus. In addition to that, once we have heard and understood the natural consequences, is that we go out and speak openly to the world about what we have heard and understood. Both hearing and speaking are inseparable for the Christian disciple. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day.